All right. Well, good afternoon, and thank you guys so much for joining on the phone with us. I am Buffy Morris, and I am the Manager of Corporate Learning and Development at ArchMI, and I'm President-elect this year for the ATD Piedmont chapter. So really excited to be here and participate in the chapter. We've got, my first year, I have been so energized by the ideas for continued improvements to the program, including more networking opportunities, more specialized offerings like this one, and no fees for events if you are a member. And I know that's new for this year. So a lot of great ideas that are bubbling up. So looking forward to implementing on those. But today, our session is the first in a series of learning on how to most effectively use some of the social media that we all love and probably already use on a personal basis, but to really help achieve some of our professional goals. And our presenter today is Teddy Burris of Burris Consulting Incorporated. Teddy is a LinkedIn coach, a trainer, consultant, public speaker, and author. He's actually written 4 articles on this topic for USA Today. And an interesting fact about Teddy is that he is the second out of 15 children. That's a lot of food at the dinner table. But Teddy spent the last 12 years working with this topic of using social media as a business tool. So I am sure you're going to enjoy the presentation today, and we'll turn it over to you, Teddy.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And by the way, I'm number 2 of 15, which means I had to mentor, guide, and lead a whole bunch of kids.
So really, you've been doing consulting and so forth for at least 29 years.
Yeah, right about the time I got out of my pull-ups.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So hey, folks, thanks for joining us. I'm going to make this conversational as much as you can help me make it conversational. I really want to minimize lecturing, and I want to really share ideas and answer questions. And so the group is small, so towards that, because of that, we can absolutely leave the microphones open as long as you're not chewing on popcorn or slobbing all over your wine and your beer while we're chatting. So, but I want to answer questions, and I want to guide you in the best practices of using social media as a business tool. And so it really starts with a high-level philosophy. It's really important to think about. What's really important to think about is, why am I using social? And so when you ask that question, you need to look back and ask yourself, so why am I on LinkedIn? Why am I on Facebook? Why am I on Twitter? Why am I on Quora? Why am I on Instagram, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Often I find people answer that question by siloing their networks. And what I mean by siloing their networks is what they do is they put their friends and family into Facebook and Instagram and or Snapchat. They put their broad professional network into LinkedIn and Twitter, and they put their local network into LinkedIn, their local business network into LinkedIn. I want you to think about a way far different idea, a radical idea. And I want you to think about the idea of overlapping your networks. And what I mean by that is this. Think about the people that you work with, your professionals you engage with, and think about the people who are your friends. And is there, in fact, an overlap between your friends and family and your business and career networks? My point is, we think that the people we do business with are only our business connections, but the reality is for at least 8 hours a day, if not longer, our business connections often become our personal connections. And so I share this just to challenge the perception or the preconceived ideas that the people we work with shouldn't be connected with us on Facebook, where we bring in our personal connections, our friendly connections. I think that there's a lot of value in looking at overlapping your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, your Instagram networks, so that you can reach out to your friends and family, business, career, civic, and community networks in lots of different ways. Just a philosophy that I've been teaching for a while now, and I'm working on teaching in a broader sense. Our networks are highly overlapped. We can just go ahead and overlap them. Diana, you have a question?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good, great. I know you wanted to keep this conversational. So right there, I'm already really intrigued, and I'm really curious about what you're saying, because with social media, I'm wondering if you can talk more about the boundaries, because what you're bringing up here is kind of blending both personal and business, if I'm hearing you correctly. And
Yeah.
can you just say more about that? Because I'm skeptical. Say more,
I'm fine.
please.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
No. So Diana, think this is a part of a bigger philosophy. And let me give you some insights. There are absolutely boundaries, Diana, absolutely boundaries. And we are responsible for setting those boundaries, and we are responsible to alert those who think they should have permission to cross those boundaries when they don't. Okay? So I'll give you my high-level philosophy about Facebook and LinkedIn. Twitter's totally open. People can follow me. I can follow them. There's no barriers. There's no request to follow on Twitter. But LinkedIn and Facebook, people get asked permission to be a friend. People ask permission to be a connection. So here's my rule on Facebook. I will only connect with someone on Facebook who I have had either a face-to-face conversation with, a telephone, Skype conversation, and we have giggled. If we have not laughed, if we have not had a good time, if we haven't developed a relationship beyond contracts, okay, to where we enjoy each other's companies, and I know, that a little bit about you and your life, your personal life, your family life, a little bit, not all. If I don't know enough about you as a person and you have not giggled with me, you cannot be a Facebook friend. I will very politely say no, thank you. Okay? LinkedIn, I connect with people on LinkedIn who are highly relevant to me in many different ways, not just business. So if you're relevant to me in some way or another, we're in the same industry, we're in the same community, we know the same people, we do the same work, you're a client, you're a prospect, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or you're a business partner, then I will accept an invite and even send out targeted, intentional invitations to connect with that group. So my point is, but let me take it one step further. Here's what's really, really cool. What's really cool is that the people I do business with become friends. The people that, my clients, because of the way I engage with my clients as a person, they become friends, and in many respects, good friends. And I don't want to create a barrier between LinkedIn and Facebook with a business professional who has now become a friend. That's my philosophy. And one more piece. People do business with people they trust, respect, and like. So becoming a friend is a powerful way to create a business ally, a business partner, and or a customer. Does that make sense, Diana?
It does, and I think it would
video. Let me see how I can figure it out.
It would probably require a lot of discernment in terms of, I think it's finding the sweet spot based on what you're saying.
You do. You need to vet those relationships so that you understand who's a friend, who can be a friend, and who maybe shouldn't be in my Facebook network.
Yeah, and the only reason I bring up boundaries is because with those different types of personal and professional relationships, in my experience, there's certain expectations about the nature of that relationship, whether it's personal or professional. So that's why I'm kind of probing for more understanding about this. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and Diane, that's a great point. We are also responsible to manage those expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And furthermore, this plays really well into this whole next conversation about reviewing our privacy and security.
Yes.
Let's talk about that in regards to the boundaries. And that is this: there is no authority sitting out there in the internet, watching us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, et cetera, and telling us when we make mistakes. These social networks are self-moderated. We are responsible to manage our newsfeed. We are responsible to manage our connections. We are responsible to manage the engagement on our content. Nobody else is sitting out there to do it. Now, we have the ability to report and we have the ability to block. But until you report, nobody is sitting there to watch it. We are responsible to pay attention to that. So let's talk a little bit about privacy and security, okay? And Ms. Woodard just joined us, and she'll be back. So anyway, privacy and security. I'm gonna look at Facebook first, okay? So I'm a big Facebook user. I love Facebook. I push the envelope on Facebook. I push the lines. I never go over the lines. That's important. I don't talk politics or religion, but I really have fun on Facebook with my network, which includes my professional. Okay, but I want to share with you the idea of paying attention to your privacy and settings. It's right here on this little down arrow. Actually, I click on that right there, and here's privacy. Click on that, and I can go see more help about privacy. Actually, it's easier to do that down arrow. Click on settings. I'm not going to go through all this, but I encourage everyone using Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or et cetera, to look at your privacy, your security, and make sure that it is set up the way you want it set up. And there's one very important thing that I would share with you is that I use two-factor security on all of my social media. And that means if I log on to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, anywhere in the world, it's going to ask me, it's going to send a text message to my phone, and I've got to type in that code. Two-factor security, two-level security, whatever you want to call it, dual authentication. I encourage everyone to use that on your social media. One more thing I encourage you to use on your social media, when you set your passwords, excuse me, I encourage you to have a different password on every social media site as you do on every site. And for me, I use a tool called LastPass. It installs on Chrome and Firefox, in my iPad, my iPhone, and I use LastPass to manage my passwords. So use a different password, use two-factor authentication, and if you want to go a step further, use a different email address than you use for your bank. Because if I hack your password for your Facebook, and it's the same password and email address as on your bank, guess where I'm going next? To your bank. That's a joke, but that's what hackers do. So different password, definitely, maybe a different email address than you use for your bank, and definitely use two-factor authentication. So I really encourage everybody to look at their security and login information, look at their privacy, and make sure that it's set up in a way that A, you understand, and B, you want, so that you understand the privacy. If you really want to go to a whole nother level, then I also would encourage you to read the terms and services of Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. It's important. For me, it's important to do that. And LinkedIn is the same thing. If I go to LinkedIn, it's right here, click settings and privacy. So if I go to settings and privacy on LinkedIn, then I can look at the way my account is set up. I can look at what email addresses I use on my account, my password, and if you look down here at the bottom, somewhere, it's under privacy, I think. Is it under privacy? It's got to be under privacy. Two-step verification. So I use that as well. And again, I use a different email address. I use the same email address for all my social media, but I use different passwords. And I really encourage you to look at the privacy and settings on LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as Twitter. Any questions about privacy and security? Ms. Woodard's on here.
Yes.
Who's D Woodard? What's D stand for?
D is for Danielle.
Hey, Danielle, Teddy Burris.
Hello.
Yeah. So privacy and security is important when you're using social media for business, career, community, i.e. life. So let's talk about personal profiles for a minute. So if you go look at my LinkedIn, those who know me know that I eat, drink, and sleep LinkedIn. It's a very important business tool for me. But if you go right here and hover over me, click on that and click on View Profile, you'll see that I'm very deliberate about what I'm saying here. This is who I am and what I do. If you go look at my personal Facebook, okay? Which, by the way, everything I do on Facebook is 100% public, and I don't hide. So here's my personal Facebook. Again, you'll see that I tell people I do the same thing. This is what I do. I tell them what company I work for. I tell people where I live, but I don't tell you the house. I don't tell you the address. And that's important. But my personal profile, if you look at the About Me section, is very relevant and tied to my professional world. Now, I let you know I'm married to this woman named Rebecca Burris. Been married to her since April 29th, 1978. And I'm still in the evaluation phase of that marriage, by the way. 39 years later. That's a joke. I tell my mother-in-law that on a regular basis. But anyway, my personal profile is public. My personal profile is about what I do. If you'll look, I do not have all my history here. I took it all out. And the reason why I took out all my history, this is not my resume. My personal profile on Facebook is about who I am today. Just like my personal profile on LinkedIn is about who I am today. So when I build my profile, I'm building it so that it can be public, so that I'm never embarrassed by what people discover. I do not want to be embarrassed. The pictures I share, are Teddy in public, Teddy working with his people, Teddy with his wife, Teddy in public, Teddy with his son-in-laws, Teddy with his grandkids. I want people to know who I am as a person. And so, again, it goes back to that, what I call professional and personal overlap. I'm absolutely fine with the world knowing who I am as a person. This is who I am and what I do. Again, I'm pretty sure you'll never see a picture of me in any way that I don't want you to see me. Hanging with the grandkid, and this is me right here. Look at that scowl. This is my brother Nelson, my brother Fred, and my sister Michelle, back in 19-odd, never you mind. So, Diana, what question do you have?
Well, I'm just wondering, so how long have you had this approach? Have you been using this approach, and what kind of results have you noticed from doing this?
Great question. It was 2007. I made a very deliberate decision to use social media as a business tool for Teddy to connect with anybody I want, anytime I want, have any conversation I want. That was what I said to myself. Why do I want to put people in buckets? Just let everybody reach out to Teddy. Now, I got a lot of friends. Hey, I got 1,300 friends on Facebook, but remember, I'm very intentional. If we've not met and talked and giggled, you can't be a friend. Or if I think that, you're outside of, there are some people that just doesn't make sense to connect with. Do you have that ex-brother-in-law, Diana? You know what I mean? And maybe you don't, but that's
no, I don't, but
yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, so there's some people it doesn't make sense to connect with. But so I made that decision back in about 2007, but here's the value I've gotten from it. The value I've gotten from it is that, well, let me tell you why I do this. Big picture. My network is my most important asset in my life. Let me repeat. My network, which I can say it plural, not singular, my networks are my most important asset in my life. And by the way, it includes my wife and family and all these grandkids we got. We got 12 of them right now. But it also includes the people I do work with, my ATD buddies, my other, all my other community friends. It includes my clients. It includes my business partners. It includes my, people who are, I'm looking for the opportunity to work with. My networks are my most important asset in life. Now, how does that work for me? I can't show you the message, but I will tell you that about 5 months ago, I think about 4 or 5 months ago, I got a message from a business owner in this town, a Facebook message. And he said, dude, I want you to come do a class for me. I said, man, I'd love to. And this is Facebook messaging. I said, dude, I'd love to, man. What class you want? How about an Instagram class? I said, sure, let's do an Instagram class. He goes, what about pick a day? I can't remember what day it was. It's coming up, August 29th. Looked at my calendar. I'm good August 29th. What time? 1 o'clock. How long? An hour. Okay. I said, dude, you didn't ask me how much. He goes, I don't care. See you at 1 o'clock on the 29th. Here's my point why that happened. He's a friend. He's also a business partner. He's also a business owner. So the value is I create friendly relationships with the people I do business with. That's the value. Did I answer your question, Diana?
You did. Thank you. And I have a follow-up question to that is that, so I see where you're going with this and the value that you're getting from it, but how about all the people that inherently brings in as well? Because I'm getting back to the boundaries thing. Now you have everyone who is exposed over your network who may not want to be. I'm just exploring this with you, so to gain understanding.
So are you talking about people who don't want to be in my network or people I don't want in my network?
Well, what you were just showing us there, your personal Facebook and all your friends and family, like how do those people feel about being exposed through you? Because once your network, you open them up to everyone else and they may have a different view.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm showing you my personal profile, and my network knows that I do this, and I use my social media and public speeches. I'm not out on a street corner showing pictures of my grandkids, but these are all business professionals. Every one of these pictures so far is business professionals. These are all, except for that motley crew, and those are my grandkids. And, my daughters also use social media in a very similar way that I do. But you don't know who this person is. You don't know who these kids are and how to get a hold of them. And you're probably leaning towards this whole privacy concept.
Yeah, and tagging faces, etc. Yeah, it's because this is new ground. It's new territory. That's why my cautious sign is out there, and why I'm so interested in this webinar today.
Yeah, and so you've got to be intentional about tagging. I don't tag people unless I know I have permission to tag them. I don't tag people on my personal content. And furthermore, you have the ability to remove that tag. If I tagged you inappropriately and you don't want to be tagged, which, by the way, Diane, I never would do. But if it happened, you have the ability to untag it. That's a part of your privacy and security setting.
Because another Google, of course, has a whole photo library where it actually just recognizes the face, and it'll sort all those photos for you and put them in a folder. So you don't even have to tag it; it just recognizes it, face recognition. So, I'm just bringing these things up as I'm exposed to them. I'm cautious.
And I didn't ask you where you lived yet, so I don't know which Diana gal or Diane?
Diana, and I'm not any of those. It would be Portland, Maine.
Okay. So I didn't ask you, but I want to share with you that, your profile is, it's probably publicly accessible. No, I can't. Wait a minute. Go to people. And this is one of the things people have to be very deliberate about. Did I find Diana in Portland? Where's
right
city?
there.
Is that you up top? Or Bordeaux?
No. There, and the end right
Belfast.
there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Belfast. So here I'm showing you your profile, public, okay? And you update your cover photos are always public, okay? There's your public profile picture, and that's pretty much it. You've got everything else locked down. You're a private person.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see your friends. Actually, I can see your friends.
Yeah, you can.
You and I don't share. Yeah.
Jeez,
So
you
you
must
could
know I
lock
love-
that. Yeah, you could lock that down if you wanted to. I don't. I let people see who I'm connected with because you know what? Joan's profile is public. And that's a whole other conversation. But you just got to think through this and what's your purpose, what's your goal, and how public do you want to be?
Mm-hmm. No, it's very interesting. Thank you.
I don't know where you work. You lived in Belfast. You were born in Belfast. I can't get your contact information. I don't know who your husband or boyfriend or girlfriend is. So, but it's just a different philosophy. If you do it right, if you follow this edict, here's an edict that you need to follow, folks. Never do, say, or engage. Let me repeat that. Never do, say, or engage on social media in ways you don't want to be seen, heard, or perceived in life. And that really sets the foundation for me to be able to use social media in a very public way and to get value from it. Here's a public speaker buddy of mine. Loves what he does. I love watching what he does. Here's who is this right here? A business partner. This lady right here is a personal friend and a business partner. We've done work together. This guy, business partner, friend. I paid him a boatload of money to do a video. Now he's a personal friend. I met Lisa Dukes years ago. Ramsey, friend, business partner. You see where I'm going? It's just a different philosophy. This chick right here is my number 2 daughter, which is, and look, she posted that picture public. Okay? She posted it public. And while the grandkids were asleep, she went and got dessert. So, and my daughter, she posted it for her friends and their friends, which means I can see it and so can my friends. So you just got to pay attention to privacy and security, and it's a far more rewarding way of using social media. Okay. So good dialogue. It's important to do it. And so again, you make your personal profiles. You represent who you are and what you do, so that when I look at your personal profile, I am not confused. I understand what you do. I understand your value. And it's very clear, no matter where I find you, where I bump into you, who you are. Many people will take their personal social media and they'll not put anything about their professional side on it. And many people, and then so, I find you on Facebook, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you do. Now, there's a mindset, It's just, or a philosophy to think about, is your profile about your employer or is it about you? Here, let's ask that question. Do I have poll capability? Let's ask that question. Is it going to work? I don't know if it's going to work. I've not done this. I know I had the ability to do it. Well, I don't know if I've not done this. So I'm going to be careful what I'm doing. So there it is. Poll. Well, let's just ask the question out loud. Is your personal profile on LinkedIn, do you build it for you or do you build it for your employer? Anybody want to answer that question?
Hi, Teddy. This is Danielle. I would say mine is probably built more for me on LinkedIn more so than the employer. Obviously, the employer plays a part of it because it's on your resume, but built for me. Danielle with a Y instead of the I. We're gonna look it up.
D-A-N. This
yes,
you?
Yes.
Oh, there's two of them.
Yeah, I gotta fix that. Yes.
Yeah. So you got two of them?
Yeah, I gotta figure out how to get rid of one of the accounts. But yeah.
Send me an email and say, Teddy, help me figure this out, and I'll tell you how to do it.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, your profile is built for Ralph Lauren because you're talking about Ralph Lauren.
Okay.
And you're talking about what you do for Ralph Lauren. You want to, and that's not unusual. Most people do it that way. You want to build your profiles out to be about you and what you do, the successes you have, the accomplishments, the skills you've learned. Your profiles are about you in the role you have today. But they're really about you and about what you do. And this is resume-ish, and I tell people, don't produce a LinkedIn profile that's a resume. Produce a LinkedIn profile that's your public billboard. And so if I go look for Danielle on Facebook, let's see if she's similar or different. You know Stephen? Charles?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So, again, Danielle's a little bit more public. She doesn't look like she does a lot. No, you're only half public. Sometimes you share stuff public. Most of the time you share it private. So, but I don't know who you are here. You don't tell me who you are or what you do. Oh, there it is. Worked at Ralph Lauren. But you could tell me more about who you are, your skills, your expertise, your talents, your passion. And it not be all about these guys. Just be about you and your role. So yeah, I really encourage people to build their social profiles to be all about them, who you are and what you do in the role you're in today. But it's about you and what you do. It really just a far better way of building a social profile. So, Vicki, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And
have we met, Vicki?
Not yet. I joined late because I was not able to get Zoom working, and I had to
I'm sorry.
do something else. And so now I'm on. And also, I was facilitating a meeting that ran a little bit over. So my apologies for being late. But I work for Harlan Clark, and we have a social media policy that all of our employees must sign. Part of that is because we are an information secure facility. We do deal with non-public information for our customers. So we've always had to keep our presence on LinkedIn or on Facebook separate from work. Now, so I do not friend any of, very few of the people that I work with have I friended on Facebook.
Yeah, I would love to talk with you offline about that because too many businesses, in my opinion, go beyond the terms and services and beyond law with their employment agreements for the use of social, and that really limits the individuals and the business to get value from social. I understand compliance. I live that world because I do a lot of work with finance and bank and legal and law as well as government. So yeah, I'd love to chat with you later about that, Vicki. But again, you don't tell people, you don't talk about Harlan Clark on your profile. You talk about your skills, your expertise, your talents, your successes. What do you do as a professional? You don't even need to use the word Harlan Clark.
Well, that's interesting because we're training our employees on our own website called My Success, and where we're asking to load their own profile, but it's inside the company LinkedIn, and that's how we're sharing the training with our employees, that they've got to build their education, their work, what honors they've had, what community involvement they have. All that is being built on our own internal website, which I found interesting. But it's almost just like LinkedIn.
But can I connect with you on your internal network?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So then my question would be, what's the value of that in a very big picture socially?
Well, there would be value to the company for probably applying for jobs within the company, but that Facebook is a little different from my work.
Is this you here, Vicki?
It is.
I love it. So good stuff. So, yeah, I mean, we have to conform, and Teddy's a challenger to that word, but I know I need to accept it. We have to conform to, good compliance requirements and ideas and best practices. But we also need, as business professionals and as businesses, to look at ways we can use these new communications tools differently and better than we have to get value for the organization, for the clients, the prospects, the customers, as well as for the individuals. And there's lots of ways of doing it, and doing it in a safe as well as effective and compliant way. I know that many organizations are slowly adopting new ideas. My role is to challenge people to make them think about, oh my golly, I can do that and it'll work. I can do that with my employee and it won't cause me pain. And it comes down to training. In most respects, it comes down to training.
Well, our millennials, they are used to this. They've got their phone and they do everything from their phone, and they just want to be connected in all ways. It's a kind of a blend of personal and business, but we're really not able to let them do that because we're not even supposed to have phones at our workstations. So we have like two separate ways of being, our work way and our personal way. And I like what you're talking about, blending them somehow, but we don't know how to do that yet.
Yeah, it's a journey, and there are requirements. It does make sense for some workers, some employees, to be highly connected in their workspace. I get that. That makes complete sense. And so towards that end, there are also employees in an organization, the marketing, the sales, the customer service, the prospecting. They need to be highly engaged and highly connected in order for them to do their job. But my person who's sitting in accounts payable or accounts receivable or transactional role doesn't need that role, doesn't need those tools. So I was, tracing into the best practices of building your personal profile. And the most important thing you can think about when you build your personal profile is to make sure that you're doing two things. Number one, you have to be speaking to your most important viewer. Too often people think that, I build my profile for the world. Actually, I used to say that. Years ago, I used to say, I need the world to know who Teddy is. Well, you know what? The world doesn't care about Teddy. And furthermore, the world's not important to Teddy. What is important to Teddy is my most important viewer. And my most important viewer is the person or persons who can help me move forward in my business. It might be a customer or a prospect or future client. It might be a resource that can help me, achieve, find solutions or best practices that I haven't found. I need to focus my profile on my most important viewer. And the second thing that's absolutely critical when you're building out your social media footprints, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Quora, et cetera, your YouTube channel, whatever it is, you need to put content on your profile that is highly relevant to who you. Now that's a philosophy that's far different than most people teach. Everything that's on my profile is all about who I am and what I do today. And if you look at the company that I worked for 5 years before I started my business, that's all I have there. Just acknowledging that company and acknowledging the people I met through that company. Then you go back to this other company that I worked for almost 9 years in that role. For 9 years, I've got one paragraph. And I did an unbelievable amount of work: organizational development, marketing, application design, systems redesign, implemented payroll systems and HR systems and time and attendance systems. But I only have one paragraph. And the reason that I did that is because everything else that I did was irrelevant to who I am and what I do today. My skills are only skills that are relevant to who I am and what I do today. And so when you're building your profiles, you need to think that way. This is not your resume, and it's not about the company. It's about you as an individual, what you can do, what you do, your accomplishments. And here, listen to these words. It's also about what you enjoy doing. Too often, people fail to let their most important viewer realize, listen, and see that they love the work they do. People want to do work with people who enjoy doing what they do. So go ahead and say it out loud. I love what I do. So relevance, it's about you. Focus on your most important viewer and let people know what you can do and what you love to do. And that applies to Facebook and LinkedIn and, Quora. I love my Quora. If you haven't experimented with Quora, go check out Quora. Go follow me out there. And so, all my profiles are all focused to my most important viewer, telling them what I do, what I can do, and what I enjoy doing. Any questions about building your profiles out? Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Tinder?
I see I need to make a lot of changes.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's why I had this multi-million-dollar business I'm in. It's really, I just come at it from a different perspective. It's social. That means people. It's personal profiles. That means it's you. So let's get social. I have I have a philosophy. I'm developing a new class titled Let's get professionally intimate. Professionally intimate. And that just means let's get to know each other, and then we can do business. So I'm still working on that. So don't hold me to that title. It might change.
I like it.
What other, I talked a little bit about consistency and relevance. Let's talk about content for a minute. When you're sharing content on social media, whether it's LinkedIn, first of all, I go look at my Quora. You can see I've answered 1,967 questions. Does anybody want to wager what questions or tell me what questions you think I answer?
How do you build a profile?
Well, a little higher than that. For the most part, I only answer questions about LinkedIn. I only answer, for the most part, questions about LinkedIn. And the reason I do that is, look here. On Quora, I've answered 1,300 questions about LinkedIn. I am the #1 most viewed guy or writer, they call it, on Quora about LinkedIn. I own that space. Josh Gwynn, don't know who he is. He's only answered 27 questions. He's answered questions of 51,000 views. He's only answered 27 questions. I need to go see what those are. And I know Mindy. I know Andy. I know Victoria. I don't know Paul. I know Frank. But I only answer questions about LinkedIn. And the reason why I only answer questions about LinkedIn is so that people don't get confused about who I am and what I do. Even though I have 4 daughters and been married to my wife for 39 years, I do not answer questions about children or relationships. And but same thing on LinkedIn. You go look at LinkedIn, you look at the content I share. For the most part, the only content I share, for the most part, is about LinkedIn. Now, I do some career coaching, so I help my network find people. So every now and then I share a job opening, and every now and then I have a thing called Noodle This. It's just a thought, and I did my first LinkedIn video. It's all about LinkedIn. My pacers, attention, PSAs are all about LinkedIn. And so I'm consistent in my messaging. I'm consistent in my conversations. I'm also consistent in how my frequency. I try to share something at least once a day, but I try not to share anything more than 4 or 5 times a day because it wears people out. But on my Facebook, on my personal Facebook, you'll see that it's personal. Okay, I shared an article that a buddy of mine shared that I really, really liked. Okay, I talked about a speech that I gave at a group in Greensboro. I had a great time, and I thanked my hostess who brought me in. I was in a webinar, listening to a webinar, and I shared just a funny image, and funny images, and but it is Teddy as a person. I also share stuff that makes me think that I think others may get value out of it. And 20 people liked it. A bunch of people engaged on it. But you will never see me when I'm sharing content on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, wherever. You'll never see me share content or touch content that is disrespectful to the brand called Teddy. And so I don't get pulled into drama, conflict, chaos, ugly, hate. I don't get pulled into conflict and, disgust. And I just stay away from it. It's just not going to help to grow and promote the brand called Teddy. And I share that, put your name in there as well. Don't touch this stuff. And I don't touch politics or religion. Pretty much, for the most part, I stay away from politics or religion. But think about what you're sharing. Think about the content you're giving away and how you're helping people. Be consistent about your messaging. Be true to your brand, and create a frequency of sharing stuff that you can sustain. Any questions? So it's 12:53. What questions do you have?
This is a lot for me to think about. I just want to thank you for sharing this information.
And that was Vicki, right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And Vicki, this is session 1. I think we have 3 of these scheduled.
Yeah.
And so, the others go. I think the other ones go a little deeper. Pay attention to the ATD website and join us for the rest of them. Diana, you had a question?
Yeah, I also wanted to thank you, like Vicki did. This is, it's thought-provoking, so thank you for that, and I look forward to learning more about it in the upcoming webinars. Just one more question is, this approach that you've been following for quite a few years now, have others taken your leads, and how have they benefited? And I'm speaking of, I'm thinking of companies in particular, those that those customers of yours. Have they embraced this approach, and what has the results been?
That is a great question that I might actually create a survey some of my folks and ask that question.
Okay, great.
I will, I'll have to do that because I don't want to speak for them.
Okay, and share it with us. I'd love to know. Yeah. Yeah,
it might be a blog post that I create on my Burris Consulting blog post, and then maybe I'll share it on the ATD site as well. So,
okay.
I do know that I have a lot of business professionals, the people that I hang with that are good people who I do business with, who share my philosophy about being professionally personal. But not everybody is. I mean, it's not for everybody, but imagine the value to your network when you let it expand that way. Great question, Diane. I will work on that answer and give you a deliberate answer at some point.
All right, thank you.
So it's 12:56. I really am glad, and we have to spend this time together. Fabulous conversations. I am saving this recording. I don't know where it's going to land, but I know where I'm eventually going to make it land. And I'll eventually share it through the ATD website, probably through a blog post, maybe sometime early next week. So thank you, everybody, for being on here. Everybody have a fantastic Thursday afternoon, and we'll talk another day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.